And what's crazy is they're not just doing it to Russia. I mean, China. They're doing it to Russia, Iran, the BRICS nations, and the entire population of the planet Earth. And they're not stopping to think, hey, it hadn't worked here. It doesn't work over here. It hadn't worked over here. So why should I try it on the largest economy, purchasing power parity, with the Chinese? Why should I do it with Russia when Russia has all of these natural minerals and resources and farm equipment and farm aid that it gives out to the world? Why are these people insane? That's
if it doesn't work, just do more, right? If it didn't work last,
it's crazy, man. I mean, I guess because it seems like, as I often say, are there any adults in Washington? Because it seems like common sense would prevail, but it seems like these people don't have common sense. And while they're claiming to promote and protect the United States national security, they are putting it in the worst position ever by the policies that they continue to enact.
I mean, national security is just a total bogus. That's just like total bogus claim, because U.S. is very secure. U.S. is surrounded by two oceans, Atlantic and Pacific. Nobody's coming over here, nobody is coming here and take over Texas or Nevada. It's ridiculous to claim there's some kind of national security threat, posed by China or Russia. Right now, U.S. military base is over there. It's surrounding Russia and surrounding China. But they're saying that is why it's China and Russia that's threatening the so-called law-based international order. I mean, the law-based international order is really the American order. It's the order that how we like to run things. Like I said, man, it's America is a child desperately needs a good spanking to especially the elite, the American elite. They're so. I mean, have you seen the videos of the Mitch McDonald just freezing
Mitch
up
McConnell,
twice?
McConnell.
I mean,
yes.
McConnell.
Sorry, I had a hard time hearing you.
That's okay. What are your thoughts on running for re-election in 2026?
What are my thoughts about what?
Running for re-election in 2026.
That's
Did you hear the question, Senator? Running for re-election in 2026?
yes.
All right, I'm sorry, you all. We're going to need a minute. Senator Benny.
Yep.
Head outside, so. Come with us. Okay.
Can anybody? This is one of the most powerful U.S. politicians, right? I mean, it's just so obvious. These guys are just puppets. They just literally roll them out into the podium and have them talk and freeze and then just roll them back. There's like the deep state is pulling the strings behind. I mean, nobody really think Biden is making policy. I mean, Biden half the time doesn't know where he is at any given time. It's but the problem is all these deep state people, all these people working in the intelligence agency or whatever, they think they know everything, but they don't. They like these U.S. tech companies said, these guys don't know what they're doing. They have all they know is a Cold War. All they know that's the only thing they know how to do. So and they think, we won the Cold War 1.0. If we just go back to Cold War 2.0, we'll just pull out the same script we had against Soviet Union. It's gonna work. Well, guess what? China is not Soviet Union. It's not just U.S. and China, like you say. It's U.S., China, Russia, Iran. I mean, you look at the Eurasian landmass. That's almost the majority of the Eurasian landmass right there. Mm-hmm. And now with BRICS plus 6, it's like they already have projection by 2050. the expanded BRICS members going to make up more than 50% of the world's GDP. So, that's the world we're heading, and these people are still stuck in the 20th century.
Mehdi, one of the channel members, says at the Red Pill Diaries, could BRICS sanction the U.S. or place tariffs on U.S. goods in the future? This is a point that I was making. Just picture the roles reversed, and I believe if you continue to poke the bear or poke the Chinese dragon, I believe that would happen. You think about the precarious economic situation that America finds herself in while she's pushing and promoting war and trying to prevent people's ascension to power or to prominence. Her economy is collapsing. Her debt. The only way she gets by is through the gratuity of other nations buying her debt that she continues to print up. Now, China being one of the foremost buyers of that debt, holders of that debt, China being the number one trade partner with the United States, and 93 to 95% of all goods that are on all U.S. shelves come from China. If the United States keeps stoking tensions and poking tensions and provoking China with Chinese Taipei, that will become a reality, because a part of war is economics. You see what America is doing. She's waging a tech war against China and also trying to bring down China's economy. What do you think China is going to do? Because they have a populace that they have to protect and ensure the security of. If you continue to poke, I believe that's where we're headed. What say you on that, Carl?
That's the thing. China actually do not want to cut ties with the United States. China just want to do business. China want to do business with anybody who wants to do business. Right now, it's the United States that's sanctioning itself. Like, all these, the Gina Raimondo's talk about she's pretending, this is only restriction on advanced semiconductors. It's only on tech. It's not a general decoupling of the economy. But guess what? Decoupling is already happening. It's they are pushing. They're doing all these, and this is part of U.S. government orchestrated campaign. When they talk about Xinjiang issues, human rights in Xinjiang, they're claiming that somehow China is using slave labor to produce in Xinjiang cotton. That's how, when they started this whole decoupling, they're forcing the Western companies to move their supply chain from China. And then what actually happened is, during the last 5 years, when U.S. had all these different sanctions on tariffs, is the U.S. imports still keep on going up with the rest of the world. But the direct import from China to United States is going down. But the boost in the import number to United States is coming from Vietnam, Mexico, etc. But then if you look at the Chinese trade numbers with Vietnam and Mexico, it's going way up. So they're shifting all the goods to Vietnam, to Mexico, slap a label, made in Vietnam, made in Mexico, then ship it off to United States. And U.S. consumer end up paying a premium for the extra step. And then U.S. administration can claim we have a great success. But that does have repercussions, because United States is one of the biggest food exporter to China. U.S. is the largest exporter of corn to China. China purchased about $5 billion worth of U.S. corn every year. But now China is realizing, look, if they can cut us off on semiconductors, they can cut us off from food. Food is a very vital supply. We don't want to be cut off like in any way. So what happened? What's China doing? China is pouring a lot of investment into infrastructure in Brazil to help Brazil to improve roads, to improve ports, and they're bringing different agricultural technology into Brazil. So China is decoupling from United States. I mean, the decoupling is happening. So China now is resourcing more of its corn from Brazil and also Argentina. Another reason Argentina is admitted into BRICS. Argentina export a lot of its agricultural commodities to China. So China is already, preparing to decouple from the United States because it's just simply because United States is not a trustworthy supplier of goods anymore. Because anytime U.S. government, some crazy politician get into the U.S. government, they can choke off that vital supply. Who can put their life, like who can put? Nobody can trust U.S. politicians with their lives. So now China is already making plans, and this is why the BRICS is going to become increasingly more important. Who needs United States? BRICS can produce their own oil, their own food. They can produce everything, and so yeah.
And the decoupling is showing, and here is something. This shows you how China moves the dial a little bit on the economic and political stage. As China started to buy more of Brazil's corn, Brazil overtook the United States as the largest exporter of corn this year. So that shows you the madness in the policies of the politicians are destroying America's economy and its standing globally. One of our Putin's shirt is talking about the bombing of the port, the Black City. It says Putin bombed 2 ports in the Black Sea on the eve of Putin-Erdogan meeting. What do you have any comments on that issue?
I mean, right now it's basically it's becoming obvious to everyone the Ukraine offensive is turning into a fiasco. There is no hope of winning on the conventional war front. So they're going to turn increasingly into terrorism, like sabotaging of public infrastructures, using drones, because U.S. can provide the intelligence and technology to Ukraine to enable them to do this kind of one-off attacks. Is basically to sow uncertainty. But at the end of the day, that won't change much, man. Like it may make some news headlines for like a couple of days, but that's not going to fundamentally change the front line in the war. And I just show increasing desperation. And also at this time, Ukraine probably would want to drag NATO into the war even deeper, like as in direct involvement. But I don't think NATO is ready for that. They can't even produce enough. They can't even produce enough artillery shells for Ukraine. I mean, like, one of our videos that we did, I cut a segment and posted on my YouTube channel, and there was one commenter say like, "Oh, but U.S. just gonna produce everything. The U.S. don't need China. U.S. can just start producing domestically." I'm like, look, you can't even produce enough artillery shells for Ukraine with $1 trillion in military budget. You can't even produce conventional artillery shells for Ukraine. That is a state of the industrial capacity right now. I mean, what the hell are you talking about? People imbibe too much of this Hollywood propaganda, man. And like people just need to need to see the real world, lift up the blinders. And right now, I'm so glad I'm talking to you. It's just sometimes talking with these brainwashed people it makes you furious.
and it's taxing on your soul too, because it takes so much out of you trying to explain to them the reality of the situation, but they become so accustomed to the propaganda that it is hard to get them out of the condition that they're in, and sometimes it's a waste of time. I think about what they say about America will produce everything. How can you, when all of your manufacturing capacity have been exported? You can do stuff on a small scale, but I just want the people to realize something. Russia's military industrial complex, which is dwarfed, and I mean dwarfed, by China's military industrial complex. Russia is out producing not just Ukraine and America, but Russia by itself is out producing the whole of the Western world with weapons, armaments, artillery, radars, warships, warplanes, everything. And now look, that is just a small peep into China's manufacturing capacity. And so I don't understand how they believe, the people in Washington believe that getting involved in a direct confrontation with Russia would be good for business. And I definitely don't see how they think it'll be good for business for China, because China has the largest air force in the world. I mean, largest navy in the world, the largest army in the world. And they said within a year, it'll have the largest air force in the world. Plus, it's the largest economy in the world, the largest lender, the largest manufacturer, the largest trade partner to most of the world. How can you win against when all of the odds are stacked against you and there are insurmountable odds? And I just don't get how the people don't see this.
It's they imbibe too much of their own propaganda, right? I mean, like they think, oh, China is going to collapse. China is going to collapse anytime now. It's infuriating. It's infuriating to watch from the sidelines. The thing that you said earlier, how U.S. elite is kind of screwing the Americans, because they don't care about the average Americans, man. They just care about lining their own pockets. For the average American, for them are just like little pawns on the chessboard. You know, they can. Expendable. They're just bodies, just like everybody else. I don't know how long the American people can continue to put up with all this crap. I look across a political landscape. There's no. They're all the same. They're all the same. They're just sponsored by different factions in the military industrial complex. It's you either have the Democrats who want war with Russia, or you have Republicans who want war with China. United States is like a country that doesn't know. It's not comfortable with just peace. You know, U.S. has always been at war. I've been in United States since 1990. I really don't remember a long extended period of time when the United States is not at war. But I mean, I guess what they're trying to do right now, because they figure out, okay, we're not producing anything anymore in United States except weapons. So that's the only way we have to do military Keynesianism, you know, rather than build bridges, ports, railroad. Let's just build more weapon platforms. Like I remember, like back in 2008. So 2008 is when China was starting to build their high-speed railway. You know, they're just starting to build their first high-speed rail from Beijing to Tianjin for the Beijing Olympics in 2008. At that time, I was in Los Angeles. I was dating a Japanese girl who was working the Japanese consulate in LA, and her job was to like show the Japanese businessmen who around. But these Japanese businessmen came to California specifically to talk about the deal to build the California high-speed rail project. That was 2008. Now China covered the entire country with high-speed rail. I don't know what the status with the California high-speed rail project is. I mean, this is state of build back America, because everything is it's just not fun. It's not functional. I'm sorry. It's just this is the best way I can say it. It's just not working. It's dysfunctional. It's high-speed rail originally was supposed to go from San Francisco to LA, which makes sense. Connect to metropolitan area. Now they're connecting to what? They're building from like the middle of nowhere to middle of nowhere. Like, what are you thinking? I mean, like one place that would make sense would be from like LA to Vegas, right? Like everybody, that traffic, that road is horrible. People would much rather take the high-speed rail, I think, rather than flying and driving. But it's not happening. It's like people keep on throwing all these excuses like, oh, U.S. is just too big. We don't need high-speed rail. I mean, that's just bogus. It's because we can't do it. I mean, like we're not going to get high-speed rail. Indonesia. The China build high-speed rail between Jakarta and Bandung is going to come online and put into operation. So Indonesia is going to have its high-speed rail before United States. And this is the state of things.
A high-speed rail links Indonesia's two largest cities. The significance of the rail is that it also connects two nations, China and Indonesia. We dig deep into the significance of this partnership and rail between China and Indonesia.